And it took me years of doing this work over and over and over again to finally realize that what I'm always wrestling with is the fact that we are built for connection and love. And I love love. I mean, that's why I have dogs, not cats. But you've never had such a great welcome as when you've been gone for 5 minutes and then you come back and the dogs love, love, love you. But the flip side to that is that everything ends. And you all know that. And so it's a really interesting tension of being a person to go through life falling in love with it, loving your community, your family, your friends, the environment that you're in. I love the Midwest. You can tell, I mean, all those sticks that I collected on my walks with my dogs that are in the back wall there, just so beautiful. I just love this place. And then to realize that eventually I'll be gone. There are trees that are in that piece, sticks from those trees, that those trees are gone. The only part that's left of them are those images that I captured, completely absent now. And how do you hold that? How do you be open-hearted when you know that your heart's going to be broken? So all of the work, even though it looks very disparate, probably to most people, these are the things that I keep coming back to over and over again. There are 3 pieces in the show that have to do specifically with finding connection with people that were very far away from us. So Spirit House, The Weight of Grace, and 42 are all pieces that were done because I was just kind of curious about people that live very far away and how similar they actually are to us. And that would be the ancient Egyptians who, when I grew up, I just thought they were obsessed with death. And then when I became an adult and started reading about them, I realized that they were obsessed with their lives and their loves. And so that's everything that they're capturing is who they are, who they're married to, who their kids were, what they did for fun. All that stuff is captured in those images. They just look so foreign to us. And going through that process, making my own spirit house, which looks very different than the Egyptian ones, but is actually very intimately, that is a model of my house that I made out of paste wasp nests that they built on my house for years. I would collect them every year after my husband would knock them down, and then eventually I pulped them and I made my house out of it to show that connection to like how much I care about my house and how eventually that's going to be completely gone. It looks so fragile. It's over 100 years old, and yet I don't know that it'll make it to 200, you know? And how it makes me sad, but it also makes me joyful and grateful that I have it now. And I get to have all this time with all of you, my family and friends, and these wonderful strangers that came out to look at my art tonight. So I think that's about all, unless anybody has a specific question about a piece. I think that's about all I've got to say about this, but I'm happy to answer any questions people have. Nothing?
How many years have you been an artist?
Well, I've been doing it professionally for about 17 years, but everybody's born an artist. And so the question is really, when do you stop? So I never really completely stopped. And then about 17 years ago, I had gotten back into doing art on a much more, I tried doing graphic design and I did illustration and a number of other more responsible jobs. And then decided when my son was going to go to school that I really wanted to do art again. And so I went back for it and have been very fortunate to be able to do this professionally for the last 17 years. Yes?
I was wondering, with these large pieces, do you have them on the wall and you get a step ladder, or you put them on the floor and you get on your knees? How do you do that?
Oh, step ladders. Yeah, you couldn't get to the center of them. You'd have to build like a bridge system in order to lay down and be able to draw them if they were on the floor. So yeah, I do use a series of ladders for them and have them pinned up on the wall. And I've been very curious. There's some people who have bought them and gotten them framed, and I'm desperate to know how they do that. I think you'd have to, wouldn't you, to hinge them and get them all down, because you can't span it. They're 9 feet wide. So yeah, it's very, very interesting to me. Any other questions? All right. Oh, yes?
So many people know you for your horse drawings. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, thank you, Molly. My dear friend Molly. So the horse drawings, I fell in love with horses before I am aware of who I am, apparently, my parents can attest to this, I fell in love, they're there. I got obsessed with a bouncy horse at the place where my dad used to work, and they bought it for me, and that was it. Like, I don't remember that, but I just know that I've always loved horses. And used to have horses and showed them and just had this passion for them. There's something about horse girls. It's a really interesting, I mean, it's a passionate love. You get obsessed with them. And most of the time the art comes from a place of I have a question and it won't leave me alone, and so that I finally decide to do the artwork and answer that question. That's the research. But the horses actually came as a fully formed idea. I had this vision of these full-size, life-size horse drawings of them falling through space, and I didn't understand what it was at the time when I had the vision. And it took about a year to even be able to start on that project because I couldn't find paper big enough to do the drawings. And I got in probably 2 or 3 of them before I had realized that what it is like, I don't have horses anymore, but I still have, to me, they're like these amazing, beautiful, strong animals. I mean, I don't think anybody disagrees a horse is a beautiful animal. They're really fragile. They're really strong, but they are so fragile. And if you drop them, they break. And if they break, there's nothing you can do about it. And so this idea of taking something that I love and watching it in free fall, and that there's no context for it. It's not a narrative in that, like, you understand why the horse is falling, and you don't understand where the distance is. Like, is it really close to the ground? How far has it been falling? All of that stuff is a question mark. For me, it's a visual poem of what our life experience is. That by the time you realize you're in your life, you're already a kid. You know, you don't even have your first memories until you're probably 3, 4, 5 years old. And at that point, you're 4 years in on this project that you never picked. And you don't know when it's going to end, but you know exactly how it's going to end. So we're all in this state of free fall. And so to me, like, one, it's meditation. I love working on them. It sounds kind of grim, but I do love them. It reminds me to be very joyful and intentional every day, to tell people I love that I love them, to do the things that are important to me. And it also reminds me to be kind to other people because we are all in the state of free fall. And you don't know how much time you have with anybody. So to be their memento mori drawing, you know, remember that you're going to die, which sounds grim, but it actually is a reflection on the joyful bits. Because otherwise it's so easy to be distracted by so many petty things that don't really matter, and it can ruin your day. And instead I look around, if I'm paying attention, and I look around the world, I'm like, it's amazing out there. I don't understand how most of it works. It's all beautiful. And so that's just my little reminder, and hopefully it does it for other people too.